Hey guys, okay, I'm back with my other software. So I just want to talk really quickly. Today's the day 5 of the 10-day challenge, and the 10-day challenge is for photographers who want to switch over from a digital space business and reemerge out of this pandemic with products-based business. So sharing my 10 steps of things you can do, anybody can do, to switch over and make it easy for you. I love when clients email me, and I literally, just before I went live, got an email from a past bride who said, hey, we are working from home and now we have the time to work on our wedding album. What do I need to do? That is literally the email you want to get, and that is the most fun thing ever. Like, yeah, you can call people and pound the pavement, whatever, but it's best when they reach out to you, and that's my favorite part. So this live stream today is just a follow-up, like an amendment? What's the word? A compendum? No. Anyway, there's a word for it. But so it's part of the 10-day challenge. Was today's video that I uploaded was about selling wall art and how to pick something for your house. So this video specifically is just, I want to show you my thought process and exactly how I talk to my clients. This will help you in talking to your clients. So basically what I said in the video earlier is that I don't love doing collections and gallery wall art stuff. I'm not a fan of it for a lot of different reasons. So what I'm going to go through and just show you is some variations of things I've done in the past, how I sold it, why it was good or bad, what I would do different, that kind of stuff. So stick with me. And if you want to chime into the chat, let me just get that going. Here we go. Let me copy this to the dashboard and share this with you really quickly. So if you want to see, if I want to have you chatting in, then you got to click on this link to let me do that. Okay, I'm just going to put this in there. There we go. Okay, so click the link. I'm just sharing that real fast so I can see your comment and see your name and stuff. Okay, cool. And then real fast, while I'm getting going, I'm just going to bring it up on my phone too. That way I can see you. Cool. All right. So now, without further ado, so basically, let me just show you. So the one that's on the screen right now is a client that I've been working with forever. I use them as an example all the time. So I want to. This one is a really fun one to go over with you because it just shows you how I've done this over time. Okay. So this is a wedding that I did 2014. I think they got married, and now they have 4 kids, and they actually have a 5th one on the way, which is nuts. So this wall has actually been updated since this photo was taken. So what's great about this one is we knew going into it that they were going to have a big family and that they wanted this family wall. Before they got married, they had just built this house. So this is their main living room, their main family room, right off the kitchen, and it's a huge, huge wall. But because I knew they were going to have a lot of kids, like she was very honest that she wanted a ton of kids quickly, I actually didn't want to fill this wall because we need space to grow. We need a place to put these new baby photos as they have kids, right? So what you can see here in the middle is we just picked like a wedding photo that we liked. There's a million different ways you can go about picking the right photo for that, but I liked that this one was vertical. They both had good smiles. I didn't really mind all the people in the background and stuff. I blurred her out quite a bit, this girl here, and we started there. And then she is one of 6, so she wanted all of her siblings in there. So I picked a really great, and because we didn't want to do just formal photos, we wanted these to be more fun and candid. So like this is his whole family, his sister and his sister's family. This is her brother who was single at the time. Now he's married. This is, so you can see this is like her family. She has a lot of siblings. And then his parents, a candid of his parents. So this wall has actually grown since this has been taken. And you can see here's 2 newborn photos. So what's funny about this is that the bride and I, when we did the first newborn, Sydney, we tried to pick a more candid photo like this, a little bit more day in the life photo, but the groom wasn't with me on the sales session, and he loved the photo, the close-up. So you know, it was just one of those things where, because he wasn't part of the process, we both just let him win, which is fine, you know, like it's his life too and his family too. So, but the funny thing is once we got on the wall, he was like, oh, like, you guys were right, that's way too close up, but it's all fine, whatever. You know, so, but now we have 4 canvases. We have one here, we now have one up here, and we have one here. And then the 5th kid, we're going to have to put over here somewhere. So when you're growing something over time, you need to think about the balance of the wall. It's kind of like when you grow out your hair, there might be a little bit of time where you're going to have an awkward stage. So I just have to like preemptively let them know that. But what's great, and this is just a cell phone photo I took, but what's great is now the process is so simple with them that literally, because I have these photos, I'll just drop it in Photoshop and I'll just draw a square like right here, and I'll drop in a screenshot of the photo of what we're going to put there so that they can see it and I don't have to meet with them in person. I love doing this with them. So it's really a fun way to build a wall over time. And we've even moved this one over, and now there's a new canvas there. This photo I didn't take, and this photo I didn't take, and now I've convinced them to move those to different rooms in the house because I want this to always be my wall, right? So let me show you other variations just to give you some other ideas. And I have a lot of examples with this particular client. So here's an example. So normally I don't like doing really small photos because they look really small on a wall. But this is a good example here from them of the nursery where she had a lot of she's really good at decorating. I really wish I could have her decorate my house. But it just needed like a pop of color. Everything was very modern, very gray. There wasn't much in this room. We don't have a lot of photos of the baby or anything in this room. And so I just sold her these 2 really nice fall canvases. These are 12 by 12s, I believe. And they're just simple and they just add a pop of color. So in this way, it works, okay? So that's one example of how we've done it. And the reason I did square 12 by 12s, even though those photos would have looked a little better if they were full frame, the reason I did that is because when we first started with the first baby, and these are all cell phone photos, so I apologize if the quality is not that good, but I just want to give you ideas. So with the very first baby's nursery, this is like a timeline that her sister-in-law drew on the wall, this like gold, it's actually a gold thing. And my thought was it was like a genealogical timeline. So we started with hands of their wedding photo and then hands with the first baby. And then we have the baby's hands as another canvas, which I think I have an example of somewhere. But I knew that this was eventually going to become all the other babies' walls. So I wanted to make them square so that you can mix and match them all over the house later. I knew that these were all going to get moved around later. Like they've already remodeled their basement, and eventually all of the square photos I ever sell them are going to end up in the basement as a grid. So I was thinking forward thinking with them. And this is really powerful when you're dealing with clients because you want to show that you have their best interest in mind. If we just were doing the wedding photos, I would have filled all the rooms in their house and there would be no room later for future sales. I really wanted to know that we were going to have future sales. So I was forward thinking and made these square because then we can move them around, we can mix and match. The reason I brought up this photo is that here's those 2 canvases once we had to move them. I put these in their bedroom. It's just this tiny little wall on the way to their closet. But it's just, there's their wedding photo. There's that love canvas that she bought online or got somewhere. Eventually she has a lot of random artwork like this in the house that eventually I'll replace for her, or for them. But there's so many photos of mine in the house. Literally anything that's a photo that's in the house is something I've taken. So I'm picking my battles right now. I'm working on that big gallery wall and I'm working on all the nurseries and all the bedrooms. So, but eventually, with 5 kids and all these different photos, we might put a nice big, maybe when the family's grown, we'll do a nice full family photo here. So I just want to show, that's just an example of how we move these around, and the square makes it easy to do a grid. So again, it's just something to think about, is how you can preemptively sell future work too. Okay, and that's also why with this example where these 2 photos I did not take, I convinced them to do 12 by 12 square, and actually they had me make these so that they're exact same company as what we use together. So that's important also. And this is an example too of, here's a wedding photographer. I was not their wedding photographer. This is her brother. But their photographer gave out the digital files. So guess what happened? I printed that canvas instead of the photographer. And that is ridiculous. You guys should be printing your own work. But it works great for this client because then we get all the canvases matched. They're the same company, same thickness, same treatment. Like I do a black line around all of mine instead of a wrap because then they look a little sharper. So anyway, we're going to move all these square ones to the basement eventually, probably even these eventually, because they're having 5 kids, right? So I just want to give you an example of a couple more examples of my own thought process, and this way it gives you tools to sell. So the other thing I want to mention real quick about this is what I mentioned in the day 5 challenge video is that I don't love collages, but with this project that worked great. But at the same time, these photos are pretty big, okay? So these close-ups of each newborn are 16 by 20s. So they're decent size. What I don't love is when people do teeny tiny photos on a wall as a collage. I just feel like it looks messy. There's no center focus. There's no like point of it. And so this is a really, really bad cell phone photo, but it shows you this is what the client will do themselves, okay? They're going to put a little collage together of 4x6s, and that's it. This is what I do. So this is a couple who took advantage of my holiday print sale, and they got themselves this giant metal print of one of their favorite photos from the wedding day that's very colorful, but this is what they did themselves. So I was okay with them putting these together because they're happy, and that's fine. But it's just an example of like sometimes go bigger is better, especially with a photo like this where they're tiny in the frame anyway. Like this one, I don't even know what photo this is in the center here. And then here's their cake, and here's a big giant bridal party with a tiny photo. So this is all like really small, and that's what our clients do on their own. So with trying to sell, it's more important to, I'm just trying to find, there's one other example. Sorry, I don't have these labeled very well, apologize. Well, there's another example around here of the same thing. It's like a frame. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. So again, this is another one that one of my clients who had the digital files, they did. And I was like, ugh, like it's fine. It's just that it's 4x6s. They're teeny tiny photos. Like if I was going to lay this out as a gallery, I would take this beautiful photo of the 2 dogs and the 2 of them, and I'd make it large and then make these like, first of all, they only have 2 dogs, but they look kind of the same. So, but they have 4 dog photos. So pick your best dog photo and make that. So I would make this as a nice big photo and then have the other ones go around it. That's what I would have done if I'd done it for them, but she just filled this cheap frame from Michael's or someplace, okay? So it's just an example, but I do want to show you, just because I think you might find it amusing, this is what I used to do. So when I first started, I also was not amazing at talking this stuff out and doing this for my clients. This was a really long time ago, like 2006 or something. But I did these grids for people. So this is like their engagement photos, and then we did a matching one for their wedding. And it ended up being a pretty big frame, but on this huge wall, it's too small. And then each photo is really small. They're probably like 3x5s, really. So when you're standing 10 feet away, you can't really see what's going on. So, and then this is like everyone that came to the wedding. And again, that was a pretty big size, but it's not filling the wall. So if I was going to do this over, or if I was going to help them, I would put this one in the middle and put both of these on either side of it to fill up the wall horizontally. So I'm just giving you an idea of like, I'm not always been perfect. I had to learn this over time. So I brought up this really, really old photo for you. And how I would like talk to them about moving it. I would definitely try to put these all 3 together on one wall to take up that whole wall. It would look better. And then I would try to sell them, like I did their family portraits when they had their first child. That's why I took this photo, because I was in their house. What I would do is I would actually sell them a large family canvas for this space, and I would have them move these 2 over here so they all go, it's all wedding stuff together. Okay, so let's go forward. So please leave me comments if you're around. I want to hear who's watching. I want to see your face, that kind of stuff. I'm just checking on Facebook to see if there's any comments. Nope, not yet. Okay, that's good. I know a lot of people are really busy with kids and stuff, and that most people are going to watch the replay, and that's fine. But this is literally like what I go through with my coaching clients, so you're getting like really free training. So here's another example of somebody who ordered this is a 16 by 20. It's pretty small on the wall, but it works on this particular wall because they liked this art the way they had. But if I had free reign, I would sell them something to take up the whole wall. Like 30 by 40 would not even take up the whole thing. It would be a 30 by 40 on this wall would probably be like that, which is still fine. And then they could put their artwork on the side or something. So it just depends on what wall you have and how you talk about it. But to me, I'm just like, if you're going to hire me, let's do something cool. Let's go a little bigger. I just feel like it really looks messy to do collages. This one, I wanted to give you an example of why I now install all the artwork for my clients. I just didn't like the way she hung these up. This should be centered and not flush with the bottom. And the gaps are all over the place and too far apart. So I would have brought them all in. Or put this group photo separate and then put the 4 of these together. So I just want to give you an example of this, another cell phone photo of one of my clients. But this is where a grouping worked okay because they had 4 kids that were still growing. This was actually officially a high school senior photo shoot where we tacked on a family photo shoot to the end of it, which is a good way to get extra sales, by the way. That works really, really well. To do family photo shoot and high school senior at the same time, you get more sales. So anyway, what I would do differently with this, if I didn't realize she was going to hang it on this wall, I would have made this canvas a lot bigger. But we did do a group because then she could have these 4 individual headshots of the children and then again move them around the house. So moving them around the house is the way I talk about it when I want to sell artwork. And it might be the reason we didn't go really big with this one, but on this wall I would have definitely installed it where it was centered over the couch. I would have closed up these gaps here, and I would have definitely hung this one in the middle. So once I saw how she hung it, this is why I started installing it for people because they don't do a good job on their own. I prefer to do it and make sure it's right. And then I bring my real camera and I get better photos for examples for my blog. Okay, so here's another example. This is another one of my clients that this one's a really fun one, and I promise this is like a really cool tip too. I'm going to get to in a second, so just hear me out. Actually, you know what? I'll start with that for you. So here's the deal. I shared in the Day 5 Challenge video that the Canvas On Demand Pro is the company I use. One thing I love about them is they have all these collages built in, okay? So even though I said I hate doing gallery walls, what's great about it is you can sell a gallery wall with like 10 photos and then again explain to them you can move them around the house. They don't need to be installed the way it shows. You're getting 10 photos for $3,000. Like, it's a really great way to get extra sales and to boost your average sale because each canvas of mine is like $550 at least. So they all start around $500. So if you do a grouping of 10 for $3,000, that's a deal, right? That's like 25% off or more. So this worked out great for this client because what they did is they shared some of them with their parents, okay? So like this one is a 16 by 20, I believe, and that one she gave to her dad for Father's Day because it's her dad with the baby. And then they kept some of the other ones for their own house, all right? So the only problem with these is that you cannot change the orientation of because it's like they like doing these groupings the way they are. The other thing I don't love is there's too many small photos, like 12 by 10, that's tiny. I don't like doing anything, I mean, even 12 by 12 is small unless you're going to do a group of them. So 16 by 20 small, like this is like pretty small on a wall, and as you can see here, it looks pretty small. And I would have, again, installed this a little different. But it works for what they had in mind, and we were able to make a lot of canvases very affordable. So just wanted to show you, I think I have one more from that client. I just want to show you, maybe not, that might be it. Yeah, oh yeah, here it is. So this works okay. This is like a 16 by 20. I love that photo. If it were up to me, if I was decorating my own house, and I think I told them this, I would have taken this photo because it was my favorite one, and I would have just made it really, really large over their wall. But that's not what they wanted to do, and that was fine. So, and then honestly, like this would have caught this little canvas, if we'd done a big one, would have only been like maybe $1,000. And because they did a grouping for $3,000, my average sale went up. So just wanted to share that tip. And that's one reason I love Canvas on Demand. And so literally, I just showed this to one of my coaching clients recently. So Canvas on Demand, there's a couple reasons I like them. I shared a few tips in that other video, but one reason I love them is their shipping is super cheap. It's like $14.95 for the whole thing to ship pretty much anywhere. They ship to Canada very affordably. They'll ship internationally. So that to me is totally worth using them. I've used them for years and years and years. Their quality is amazing. They have a 365-day guarantee. So if you have any problems with, and honestly, I've used them so much that I've rarely had a problem. I only ever had one problem with like a smudge on a canvas, and they sent us a new one right away. So with this, and it was for this couple. But they're so affordable. They have sales constantly, like literally like Groundhog's Day or like Flag Day, like whatever. It's like, oh, they're probably having a pandemic sale right now. I mean, it's nuts. They always are on sale. So that's the cheapest canvas you'll ever find, plus the quality is really good. So my point is they have like 10 of these groupings, and it just gives you a lot of wiggle room if you have a client where you're like me and you photograph in more documentary style. It's a great way to sell a lot of canvases for a more affordable price. My collections all start at $2,000. But again, when you're thinking about 5 canvases that normally would be $500 a piece, the client is saving. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll talk them into using these smaller ones, and I'm giving them as gifts to their parents. So I'm like, hey, Christmas is covered, or Mother's Day, or whatever. Like, so, and that way I don't have my client putting tiny canvases on the wall. So that's just another selling feature when you're trying to actually sell a big grouping, okay? So I hope this is helping you think through like how to pick like the right photo for your wall. And again, it just shows that like this, again, these are my wedding photos from the same couple, and they always just do these grid things, which is fine if you can stand close to it, but it's just so busy. I'd rather make them an album, or I'd rather print one great photo, like, and put that on the wall. So it's just a difference between what we can do for them and what they do themselves. And then like, even mixing and matching like this golf course photo and this other thing. And like, don't hesitate to like recommend how they decorate their house too, if you feel like it. This particular client, I wasn't worried about it. It doesn't matter. And they've actually moved since then anyway, so who knows. But it's just something to think about. And also, like I said, this is like a 16 by 20, and it's pretty small on a wall. So that's why you want to go bigger and make more of a statement piece. Okay, so I've a couple more photos real quick. I'll go faster. So here's a better example of how you pick one photo that fills the wall. And it was a dark, warm photo against this dark, warm wall, and it's fine. It's a bit dark or whatever, but it's fine. And it was a good size for this wall that wasn't too crazy. Okay, so that's an example. And then let's see, I think I showed you this one. Yep, I did. And again, you can rearrange these, you can move them around. And that is a selling feature because at this time, they weren't going to have a second kid, but they did end up having a second kid. So it worked out great because now they can move these into the baby's room for that kid and then do new ones for the other kid. So that's the benefit of doing a big grouping. And then, like I said, with this one, this is growing over time. I didn't pull up the newest version, but we already have 4 kids, and we already have a new group of the 4 kids canvas up here, and I've moved this one here, is now over here. So it's nice if you can talk about this stuff with your clients and give them examples. Okay? So leave me comments if you have any other things you want to see. I'm happy to show you some more ideas. This video is more just to give you some ideas of how to talk about stuff, how to plan it out. That's probably the #1 question I get from my coaching clients as well. How do you plan out a wall like this with your clients before they even have kids? So hopefully this video has helped you think that stuff through. And let's see, the only other thing I want to say about this too is, like I said, I try really hard to keep their family's photos out and not, and especially because they're not my photos. that I've taken for them. So I've gotten them to move this one and move this one now. And that way it all matches. And partially because she has 5 siblings and they all have a lot more kids. So it's like, I want to keep this their family, and they can put her family's photos elsewhere. The other thing is it keeps it balanced because he only has one sibling, the groom. And so since then, his father has died, and what I did for him, because they've been such awesome clients, is I actually took a great photo of his dad and the groom, and I made him a canvas, and I sent it to him as like, sorry, your father passed away. Actually, I think I didn't even send it. I think what I did was I snuck in with the bride, his wife. I installed it while he was at work, and he didn't even know it was coming, but it was a gift. I gave it to them. So I printed this photo of the groom and his dad when his dad passed away, and we put it right here, and I installed it for them. The funny thing about this, just a real quick side note, one thing that's weird about installing art for your clients is like this couch they have is this huge, huge, huge sectional, and literally it's always the bride and I pulling this couch out away from the wall, and I'm installing these canvases. And oh my gosh, like over the years we've gotten really good at it. Even when she was like 8 months pregnant, we were pulling this giant couch out of the way. So I highly recommend you, like, if you have a husband, use them because this is like, I wish, or find another way. It's definitely like a pain. But we're a little proud of ourselves that with all the kids running around, and the groom has it so easy. Like, he comes home and it's magically done, right? So just like any wife in here watching this knows how that goes. But it is kind of a peril of filling a large wall like this, is installing these and getting these, the spacing right is not always great. But the nice thing is you can always rearrange, you can always move around, you can, put 2 holes in the wall. It's not that big a deal. Usually what I have her do while I'm on the ladder is I have her eyeball it from directly in the middle and across the room. And she's gotten better at eyeballing it for me. Like this one's not that centered, but she's gotten a lot better at that over time. So you just train your clients, and they'll help you. They'll help you hang it up. Otherwise, they can come stand on the ladder and hold it up, and I'll walk across the room and eyeball it. I'm really good at that. You could measure it and do all these things, but eyeballing it's faster if you're good at that kind of stuff. So anyway, I hope this tutorial helped you kind of think through like whether it's a good idea to do a big grouping or not. Again, this particular project, a grouping makes the most sense, but most of the time I'm not a fan of collages, and mostly because you're going to pick too small of photos. It's always 8x10 canvas or something tiny on a wall, which just looks so cluttered and it looks so busy and it has no rhyme or reason. And the colors, like even this, I'm trying to balance out the colors. I have a little pink here. Her skin tone and hair is real pink, so that it balanced it out. I didn't love this one being warm. I made them do this one black and white because it was just a cell phone photo. And then this one has a pop of color for green, and then we put another one that's colorful over here. So, that's also something to talk about, is like we've got a little pink here, we've got a little pink in here, we've got pink here. So it's like a balance, but it's not overwhelming, okay? So anyway, I will, after this, pop in. I know I have a more updated version of this wall just so you can see how it's grown. And hopefully this helps. Definitely leave me some comments if you have any questions. This is really fun to show you like over time how I do my collections. Okay, see ya.